What's up, guys? Today we're over here at TFR Engineering getting this Pro XP ready to go for King of the Hammers. Headed out in about 2 weeks to do some testing out there, so we got a lot of work cut out for us. Watch the video, check out what we got planned. Appreciate it. All right, so last time we saw this thing, it was a complete razor, and we actually took it over to Gilbert Designs, and he needed some measurements and stuff, so he actually made a cage for it, and it's a great looking cage and everything's fine with it, but we're just gonna go ahead and make this a little bit more race car-ish. With plans on racing Best in the Desert this year, we had to change up the cage design a little bit. So here we are. First thing I want to hit on is the couple of guys that are saying that this thing is not rigid. It is they're saying, you know, it's too weak to go race King of the Hammers. Well, first off, I just want to touch on a couple of points. You get a 2.5-inch tube here for your front bulkhead, all the way coming through here on your front shock mounts. It's a really big upgrade, I think, and everything ties in really well. And you know, you still got your 1.5 and 1.75 tubes here on the front, but big thing is, you know, these 2.5-inch tubes, they're harder to bend. Yeah, they can dent easier, but that's the way to go with this. And so you have a lot more strength and rigidity here. Another cool thing that I was looking at is that your main tubes here are all the same through here. They're still 1.75 for the most part. So I don't understand where the rigidity and it being weak comes into play. I don't know if people haven't looked at them or what's going on. Maybe I'll find out some other way, but really cool thing here that we noticed, you have a 2.5-inch tube on your main chassis all the way through. It's cut through here. You got 1.5 inches finishing out the back half of it. Now, I know a lot of y'all probably aren't familiar with it, but a lot of race cars are built the exact same way. Around the cab, you know, you always have around the drivers, you always have the big safety tubes, and you know, it's where your main strength is wanting to be, because that's where all your suspension points are and all your mounting points. So, and then after that, they go back and do 1.5 or 1.75. So I think there's some good designs in there. So cool little take away there. So what we're doing today is we're getting the seats mounted. We're not using 2x4s. I know it looks like we possibly could do that. Or not. I got some Sparco Evo 2 QRT seats. These are the new lightweight models. They're equivalent to their carbon weighted seats. Just getting them mounted. We went ahead and took out the subframe, getting it ready. See the 12-gallon fuel cell in there, and we're trying to make this as fast as possible, but keep it as simple as possible too. So we're going to go ahead and get some tubing and route it across here for making a new subframe, so the seats will mount a little bit better than factory and also safer. We're also going to come in here, we're going to make a tunnel and bring the shifter up some a little bit, bring it up about right here, so it's just a little bit easier. Another cool thing I did is I got a Mob Armor iPad mini mount. This is a premium model, so I don't have the ride command screen or dynamics, anything like that. And I went right in here and just tied it in to the back. It's a Mob Armor cage mount, and that's your iPad mini mount. So fits perfect. That'll be good for driver's navigation, or you know, music listening through the intercom system or anything like that. Have another GPS over here. Everything will be good there. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut these out. We're actually just going to make it a solid chassis, A pillar to B pillar. We went ahead and added these in for the cage that Gilbert Designs did, and like I said, it was nothing wrong with it. We're just kind of going race car with it now. So we'll cut this out and we'll sleeve this tube and come out and sleeve it into the 1.75 inch. So kind of deciding what we're going to do on the rear still. Kind of want to come in and maybe land here and move these rear C-pillar mounts up some. Might make the rear of the cage a little too short. We've also thought about coming up off of the B-pillar and even come down and tie it into a rear bumper. So that's kind of where we are right now. But again, the takeaway with this thing all taken apart is it looks pretty strong, and Polaris has done a really nice job on getting certain things correct about it. So we got the old models in here too. We got a first generation XP Turbo and a first generation XP 1000 that's what's left of it. So we can really compare too, and going back and forth just between the two, I can really tell that, I mean, this thing looks stronger. It's definitely a lot more thought out. And, you know, I haven't gone out and flipped mine 3 times yet, and I typically don't plan on doing that. But I have put it up against a tree, and, you know, I've had it in a dirt embankment, and, you know, everything's still straight and nothing's wrong about it. Now, I will say one thing here that is a takeaway that Chris and I are trying to address. Chris is my co-driver and owner of TFR Engineering. But as you can see, this rocker panel here, it's inset, okay? And I got the other side together still so I can show y'all this. But the plastic comes out and actually mounts here. So, you know, here it's not too bad. It's about an inch off. But as you get further closer to the A-pillar, you're about 5 inches off of the main tube here. So we're trying to address that. We're thinking about maybe coming down and just doing a flat panel, even with here, and then kind of having a step to get into the vehicle. And then just kind of letting this plastic get beat up a little bit in the rocks. And we also might just build some rockers around it. So just trying to decide there, but here you go. You can kind of see what I'm talking about, the difference. You got your chassis here, and your plastic comes out all the way here. So even here, it's about 4 inches out, and it gets out about 5 inches over here. So my biggest concern with this is getting into the rocks, and you know, taking a big rock right here. It does happen a lot, and what will happen? So we'll be dragging plastics through the rest of the desert, or we just bounce off of it. Really not sure. So that's our debate right now. We're going to try and figure that out today. If we want to do skins all the way over here, and we're just bring the chassis in from here now and kind of lose it. So we'll work through it, keep everybody updated, let you know what we got. So here's the Razorback temp gauge. This is the 3.0 version. Really cool little thing. This is the 3rd or 4th one I've bought. Real simple installation. Nothing to it. Run some wires, hook up power, ground, you're ready to go. So another thing we'll be installing today is Gall's siren kit. Here's a speaker. It's a heavy little bastard. Got the siren control model here. Then we also are gonna have, let me get Chris's computer out of the way. We got air pumper, controller, 60-watt rugged radios, and intercom to go with it all. So we get the new Mac hoses as well. We're gonna go ahead and put my Razorback belt tip gauge on. As you can see, I've already drilled a hole here. You can see the belt straight through there. So notice that we're in a good spot. Unfortunately, we couldn't really get a good spot on here to kind of avoid the exhaust area. But this is where we're gonna have to land it. So as you can see, the way that this cover works is that the air is transferred that way towards the driver's side, and it comes through the exhaust right here, and it actually comes over and is designed to cool your turbo manifold and turbo. Just an extra layer of cooling, which is pretty cool. So first things first for this, we'll get the cover off, and we'll go ahead and get the sensor mounted, and we'll start running some wires. Belt temp gauge from Razorback going on, and this is where I'm gonna mount it. I know a lot of people have said that the Pro XP has a lot of X3-ish to it, or Can-Ham is what some people want to call it. They don't like it for that reason. Well, I thought this was pretty funny because Razorback doesn't make any mounting solutions for the Razor. On my last race car, I ended up mounting a little gauge pod right here. It came up and I could see it at all times mounted like that. It's pretty cool. Well, that kind of takes away some vision here, so was thinking of some different solutions where I could put this gauge, and I saw the Can-Am guys were mounting them to their clusters. Well, guess what? That's exactly what I did. Here's the funny part. Went to Razorback's website. X3 right-hand single mount from Razorback. So I went over here, and I was gonna mount it on top first and kind of have the gauge here, and it didn't really flow very well. So just imagine having the gauge here versus here. and I didn't like it that much. So I went in, I took this comes with a little bend in it right here, and so it actually makes it lean forward. So I took it over the press and pressed it flat, pretty flat anyways, and just put the 2 screws in there. It's really sturdy, actually. I've had these apart before. There's no electronics like directly behind it, so everything's okay. Cluster still works just like it should. No problems there. So all the cluster stuff is more forward. It's encased pretty well. This is just an enclosure for everything. So there you go. Have that in that position right there. Kind of give you an idea of what it would look like from the driver's seat. That's what it's going to look like for the most part. So we'll have it right there. It'll be right in our face, and we'll know without taking our eyes off the terrain what the belt temperature is. So there we go. Run some wires for that, and we'll be done. The X3, I guess the cluster is a little bit different, and it's a little bit more flat. And this one kind of goes back a little bit. So with this one, you know, they have it coming forward. And don't get me wrong, guys, I'm sure Razorback's working on something now. And a lot of other people are too, for something to work. And I'm kind of surprised that nobody's done anything yet, because these clusters have been out all the 2019 models. So we'll see what happens with that. But I kind of had to manipulate a little bit. It's still a little bit further back than I would like, but you know, this is, the camera's right in front of my face, and this is my view. So you can see it's pretty damn good. I got all my information I need to see in front of me, and without even changing anything, I can look right here and get a temp reading. So far so good. I like it. A little tip for everybody if they're looking to place a mounted gauge. So let me know if y'all got any questions. The next thing is we button up the Razorback temp gauge install. We got new sway bar and links for the rear. These are always a problem. I've tried about every brand on the market, and I haven't tried these yet. So Holes Racing has new sway bar and links. They're going to replace these little flimsy ones. And don't get me wrong, these are probably beefier than the ones that have ever come on here, but we're gonna replace them because rear sway bar is important for the racing that I do. And we're gonna get it swapped out, and hopefully we won't have any more problems out of these. So get these swapped out real quick and show y'all a finished product. Okay, so we got one on here. I just wanted to make a little point. Kind of smart, not a full-on expert here, but I was thinking that the 2 larger offsets would go on one side like this, and the shorter ones would go on one side. Well, that proved to be incorrect. So then I thought, well, okay, they have to be offset equally then, like this. And I think that would work just fine the way that is set up. But what I ended up doing was having them opposite of each other. And the reason why I went this way, because I want this bar to be as vertical as possible and not have any lean to it. So it offsets it just the perfect amount. It's as close as I can get. So I got my big spacer over here on the top half of the bar, and I got the short spacer over here. Put the short spacer on the bottom, on the inside, and the wide spacer over here. Have to kind of massage these out just a little bit, just to get them to squeeze in there. But that's as close as I could get it. See if you can't see it from the back side here, but it's pretty vertical from that standpoint. So kind of matches this side. You can see this side kicks out just a little bit, and I want these things as close as possible as being vertical. It does have a little kick out, but this prevents it from being angled too much. So I think that's why Holes did it. I couldn't find any information online. It doesn't come with instructions, so that's how I'm gonna run it. That's how I suggest you run it too. Chris is going to town and he's gonna start cutting off. Boom. So
It's no longer new.
It's no longer new anymore. And I got the belt temp gauge routed through here. I think zip tied through to the center. Alright guys, we got the bungs cut off that we had installed previously here. We cut all the door brackets off, speaker mounts, door brackets off there. Next thing we'll cut off is the original B-pillar mounts for that. Got all the brackets cut off here for the door and speaker mounts. So we'll get these cleaned up with the grinder and we'll start bending some tube. A lot of work to do. Really cool thing. I know some people have talked about it. I just want to hit on this real quick. So we got this gauge mounted. I got all the wiring ran to the back over here for the belt temp gauge. But once I get this Polaris pulse system, I'm gonna get some connectors from Polaris. And this is just gonna simplify wiring and just, again, back to the serviceability side of it. It's a really cool feature. I'm glad they have added it in. So we'll cut these wires short and we'll just use that plug right there. Boom, be ready to go. So, another cool thing. Let me know if you have any questions on that one. We got all these bungs cut off. The door mounts and speaker mounts are all trimmed off here. Smooth it all down with some grinders and be ready to start moving forward on this thing. What do you think about it, Chris? He's not too sure about it yet. Here's Chris's turbo. Let's finish up the cage on it. He makes his tubes all shiny. I like it.
What happens when you can't weld? You gotta grind.
He just grinds them. He said his welds aren't good. I think they're just fine. This is his 1000 turn single seater project. We're gonna call it RS None. It's gonna be a really cool endurance build is what he's going for. Have a single seat offset to the left just a little bit. Big fuel cell here. Ready to go. Really great cage work here. I love it. I just love how it goes. Flows with everything really well. Let's see if I can't get a shot in here too. Did some really cool bulkhead work in the front, tied in the front and the back, so it's gonna be a strong little machine. If he ever finishes it, maybe he will one day. All right, guys, see y'all soon.